Elias Abu Elazam is an Israeli Arab, and I would love it if someone would mention if he's Muslim or not, because I think that would just kind of help people put him in perspective. He's this guy that's been all over the news in the States that supposedly attacked 18 people and killed 5 people with a knife and a hammer. Okay, can we stop with this Israeli serial killer business and start saying maybe Israeli Arab serial killer? It makes it sound like there's some Jewish guy running around, and people forget that we have Arab citizens. And I really wish someone would mention if this guy's a Muslim, because if he's from the Middle East and he's a Muslim, then he's likely one of those radical, freaky Muslims like on the flotilla that uses hammers and knives to kill people. It would just make a lot more sense. Regardless, the whole situation is really tragic, and I hope this guy gets justice really fast. But speaking about things that don't really make sense to me, this latest scuffle up in Lebanon, which watching the news in the States was like, latest scuffle in Lebanon, and both sides are accusing each other of firing at each other. And really, okay, you want to know what this was about? Israel was going to cut down a tree on the Israeli side of the border that the UN set up as the legitimate, internationally recognized border. And there's this tree that was blocking the view of the security forces, and so they wanted to cut it down. And they often cut down shrubbery because if they don't, then the people on the other side will hide in it and ambush and kidnap soldiers like they have in the past. So the peacekeeping organizations in Lebanon say, we'll just wait a couple hours so we can coordinate and let everybody know that you're going to go up close to the border and cut down this tree. And basically, Lebanon uses that time frame to set up an ambush. And a sniper kills an Israeli officer, and Israel has footage of these peacekeeping organizations standing right next to the Lebanese army shooting at the Israelis, because this whole time it's supposedly just Hezbollah that's firing against Israel, not the Lebanese army. And these peacekeeping organizations are supposed to be there to help stop these bad people from shooting at us. So what that means is that even the decent organizations like the Lebanese army and the peacekeeping organizations who are supposed to make sure that Hezbollah doesn't shoot at us have been infiltrated by the same wackos that are in Hezbollah. What a surprise. But speaking of surprise, there's a new luxury mall open. Did you hear about it? I'm so excited. I really want to go. Unfortunately, it's in Gaza, and I can't go there. I saw pictures. They're great. Some nice shoes. I know. There's a humanitarian crisis, and surely nobody can afford this stuff. I mean, they don't even have this stuff there. It's just there for the pictures. Yes, they just brought all this nice stuff from Europe and put them up on the shelves so that we could take pictures of how Gaza's flourishing. But really, I'm happy for them. I mean, I think Gaza should flourish. I mean, they've only had like $200 million sent by the UN for humanitarian aid, which like Haiti, I think the UN only sent them like 10 million. And so definitely I think that Gaza has invested this wisely. And there should be something for the children. I mean, look, it's great. They've got toys now. They even had that little Mickey Mouse knockoff Farfur, he's this character in this Palestinian show on TV that gets murdered by Israeli soldiers. Well, he resurrected and he came to the mall to meet all the children and give them kisses and stuff. The only thing that's disappointing about this mall, and really in Gaza totally, is that the women can't go in the hookah bars and smoke in public. It's this new Hamas rule. And really, a woman's place isn't in a hookah bar smoking hubbly bubbly. It should be under a blanket at home or under a blanket at the mall, but definitely not in the hookah bars. Well, see, there's actually normal people in the Gaza Strip who don't like all this violence, and they've been begging Hamas to get this huge weapon stash out of their neighborhood because Hamas likes to put their weapon stashes in densely populated areas. But it's not just that when Israelis bomb the place, then it makes a big mess. It's also sometimes that the bombs go off on their own because explosions are attracted to explosives. I know, I learned that in science class. But it is interesting what's going on in Gaza because there seem to be more Egyptian journalists and Palestinian Arab journalists in Gaza leaking what's really going on over there, such as the fact that all this humanitarian aid and all the hoopla that's going on about it, something like 2/3 of the medical supplies that are brought in by these humanitarian aid groups are damaged or expired and are worthless, if not dangerous, if you use them on patients. So it's kind of a bizarre relationship that these Palestinian Arabs have with these humanitarian aid people, because the Palestinian Arabs are saying we need all this stuff that they don't really need, and the humanitarian aides are bringing all this stuff that they can't really use. I don't know, they have strange friendships here. And last but not least, the 40 days are up. The 40 days that Hamas gave to anyone in Gaza who would come forward and admit they'd been collaborating with Israel, they would be shown mercy. And after the 40 days are up, where 20 people turned themselves in, they went on a killing spree. That doesn't mean if they suspect you, then they take you to court and you get a lawyer and all that stuff. That just means if they suspect you, you may see a court, you may just see a barrel. But the most disturbing part about this thing, other than that innocent Palestinians are being killed and nobody seems to care because it's Hamas killing them and not Jews. It's the part that in school they're now teaching children to turn their parents in if they're collaborating with Israel. That means they're asking children to turn their parents in to be executed. You seriously want to give Hamas their own country? Who's going to take care of these kids once the parents are killed? The military?